U.S. Department of Defense on February 15th carried out a maritime interdiction and boarded another sanctioned vessel named Veronica III in the Indian Ocean after it allegedly attempted to violate President Donald Trump's quarantine order. In a post on X, the Department of War informed that U.S. forces conducted a right-of-visit boarding operation overnight in the Indo-Pacific area of responsibility. The U.S. forces tracked the sanctioned vessel from the Caribbean to the Indian Ocean, closed the distance, and shut it down. Video released by the Department of War on social media showed military personnel boarding the ship, with air and sea support nearby. Reuters verified the tanker as Veronica III by matching its structure, cranes, deck paintwork, and overall appearance with file images of the vessel. Earlier, on February 13th, U.S. Southern Command, under General Francis L. Donovan, carried out a targeted strike under Operation Southern Spear in the Caribbean against a vessel linked to designated terrorist groups involved in drug trafficking. The operation killed 3 suspected narco-terrorists, and no injuries were reported among U.S. forces. The U.S. forces continue their operations against sanctioned oil tankers after a dramatic raid and eventual capture of sitting Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro on January 3rd. Post the operation, Trump's war secretary touted the high-risk mission and mockingly said, "Maduro had his chance until he didn't." Well, not just one time. Hegseth hailed U.S. military's Mission Maduro out repeatedly, the most recent being in his speech during a nationwide Arsenal of Freedom tour stop in Cape Canaveral, Florida.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Finally, a commander-in-chief the world respects and the American people deserve. And as the president said, words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision of this historic operation. A massive joint military and law enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has to offer. American warriors are second to none, the best in the world and the best of our country. What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry, and glory of the American warrior. I'm simply humbled by such men. And I tip my hat to our chairman, Dan Raisin Kane, and all those Americans who stood watch last night. Our warriors are the elite of America, and again, President Trump has your back. No other country on planet Earth, and it's not even close, could pull this kind of operation off. And no other president has ever shown this kind of leadership, courage, and resolve, the most powerful combination the world has ever seen. As the president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice, all on full display in the middle of the night. Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around, and he found out. President Trump is deadly serious about stopping the flow of gangs and violence to our country. Deadly serious about stopping the flow of drugs and poison to our people. Deadly serious about getting back the oil that was stolen from us. And deadly serious about reestablishing American deterrence and dominance in the Western Hemisphere. This is about the safety, security, freedom, and prosperity of the American people. This is America first. This is peace through strength. And the United States War Department is proud to help deliver it. Welcome to 2026. And under President Trump, America is back.
In our own hemisphere, how long have leaders been talking about a war on drugs or taking drugs off our streets? Well, for a long time, it was simply a catch and release program, a law enforcement function that didn't work. But these narco-terrorists, designated terrorist organizations, targeted our communities, our kids, and our people in our country. They knew exactly what they were doing. So instead of catch and release, we let them know, if you're going to sail in your drugs toward our country in international waters. We will target your drug boats, and we will sink them. Well, I don't know if you've noticed, there haven't been many boats sunk recently because we can't find any boats to sink. You see, no one wants to get in a narco boat anymore. And that's the whole point. And then on January 3rd, the whole world saw what our military is capable of at every echelon. When we brought the indicted nominal leader of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, from a fortified house in the most fortified location inside their biggest fort in their capital city in the middle of the night without them knowing we were there until 3 minutes before. The most sophisticated single raid in the history of the planet. No other president before President Trump would have had the guts to make that call. And no other military in the world has the ability to do it. I remember when Nicolas Maduro mocked us and said, "I'm right here, come get me." Well, he found out. No more climate change worship or social justice or political correctness. We're done with all of that. We're just unleashing the warfighter to be lethal, trained, disciplined, accountable, and ready. And when you allow them to do that, they're really good at their job, as an indicted criminal in Venezuela found out about a month ago. We are allowing commanders to be commanders again, leaders to be leaders. And what they say back to us is the most affirming words we could ever hear. Those commanders are saying, we've never felt this supported before, ever in our time in command. Under President Trump and under the War Department, you're allowing us to use the authorities to go out and do what we need to do, clearing out the debris. That's music to my ears. That's my job, to serve those who serve, allowing our warfighters to be even more capable. Second, we're rebuilding our military. That's why we're on the Arsenal of Freedom tour. That's why we're here in Florida. We're going across the country for a couple of months, talking to industry, large like this one, and small. We need all of them. And we need you to move fast, at scale, at cost, to outcompete our adversaries, to rebuild our arsenal of freedom. President Trump did it in his first term, and we're doing it again. As you may have heard, the One Big Beautiful Bill provided the War Department a historic down payment of $150 billion to supercharge President Trump's defense capabilities. He has announced the goal to spend $1.5 trillion for our national defense in 2027. That is a massive message to the rest of the world that American strength is not going anywhere anytime soon. We will dominate in every domain.